This is the Life is Easy, Life is Good video blog, and this is the 14th video. So I've just been talking about how we can actually experience heaven here on earth and how we don't have to wait until we die to go to heaven. So in the previous video, I kind of answered the question, or tried to answer the question of what is heaven by looking at some of the Judeo-Christian scriptures, are better known as the Bible. And in the book of Revelation 21, chapter 4, it actually says that heaven is a place with no sorrow, no pain, or no tears. And in Romans chapter 14, verse 17, it says that heaven is a place where there is righteousness, peace, and joy. So in other words, righteousness is when you make a mistake or make a wrong decision, you can still be free of the guilt and the shame and still be free to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to make wrong decisions. And if you are sincere about your efforts to improve, then you will be able to experience redemption from that. Peace is the ability to know that everything is still okay and working out in your favor and your benefit, even in a worrisome situation. And joy is just enjoying your life, even in the midst of a depressing situation. So, and to more clearly define what is heaven, this week I want to try to address the question of where is heaven. So if we were to look at what Jesus actually said about heaven, Jesus actually doesn't state that heaven is reserved for people who die and go to heaven who had faith. And he doesn't even say that heaven is in the sky. So in Luke chapter 17, verse 20 through 21, Jesus is talking to the religious people of the day, the Pharisees, and he actually says, look, heaven is not here, nor is it there. It's not a place that you can point to, because the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's among us, and it's today and it's now. So just continuing the story of Moses that I've been talking about. And Moses is just the leader of the people of Israel out of Egypt, or out of slavery, into a land that can call their own, where they can be free to make their own decisions, where they're not in captivity or oppression. So in Exodus 16, here's the story of Moses actually leading the people to the promised land, which is a metaphor for heaven. And we already defined what heaven is, and out of a place of the wilderness, which is between a place of slavery or bondage or not being able to control your own suffering, moving into a place of the wilderness, which is a metaphor for suffering here on earth. So I just wanted to use this story as a metaphor for how we can transition from a place of suffering into a place where we are actually enjoying our lives, as a metaphor for heaven. So in Exodus chapter 16, the people of Israel are actually complaining that while they're in the wilderness, is that it's extremely hot, they're extremely thirsty, and they're extremely hungry. And what happens is every time they complain, Moses prays, and then they supernaturally get provided a bread-like substance that the Bible calls manna, and then also water from a rock. And they even complain about that. Even though it's obviously a miracle that they're witnessing, they start to complain about what is a miraculous provision. So one of the things that I realized for my own life is that what's keeping me out of the kingdom of heaven, experiencing it now, enjoying life in the midst of a depressing situation, being able to know that everything is working in my favor, that I'm actually lucky and I'm blessed and I'm favored in the midst of a very worrisome situation, having that feeling and knowing that beyond a shadow of a doubt, is when I complain about what's obviously a blessing to me. So a lot of times what we do is we make the grave mistake of praying for something, or spiritually intending something, or even just having a blessing in our lives and falsely perceiving it as a curse. We may have been blessed with a family, and we complain about our spouse, or we complain about our significant others because they're not just cooperating with what we expect from them, or our kids are being disobedient. We may have been blessed with shelter, an apartment, or a house, and because there's repairs that need to be done, it may be too expensive, or our transportation may be too expensive, or our clothes are old, 2 or 3 years old, and we may want a new wardrobe, or whatever there is in your life that can be considered a blessing, we don't notice that it's actually a blessing, and we start to complain about what it's not instead of what it actually is to us. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that we can make, because that's what actually it keeps us from the experience of being overjoyed, ecstatic, and excited about life. So I just wanted to ask you guys, if you're having a feeling of extreme frustration about your life, if you've said to yourself, this always happens, and you have something that's reoccurring in your life that's a negative thing, I just wanted to ask you the quick question is, have you been complaining? Whether that's an outward complaint to somebody else, or an inner complaint in your head, just, man, this always happens. Sometimes what happens to me is I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I drive downtown a lot, and I'll park at a meter and I won't put enough money in it. So something that always happens to me is I always get a parking ticket. And the first thing I want to do is just complain about, oh man, here we go again, another parking ticket, and complain about why I didn't deserve that parking ticket. So something as small as that, just, or have you been complaining and have you been just expressing bitterness on a regular basis? If so, then that's probably what's fueling and feeding the negative reoccurring things that are happening. So I just want to talk about how you can get out of that negative cycle. How can you can get out of that? So just asking the source of all life, or a spiritual parent, or what a lot of people call God, for the ability to perceive that even those things that we complain about, even those things that we perceive as curses, to actually begin to see how they are blessing us and how they are adding to our lives, and actually appreciating them and being thankful for them, seeing what their value and worth is to us, will lift us out of that state of suffering into a state of enjoyment and love of our lives. So what I want to challenge you to do is, the next time you're in that situation where you're feeling frustration, or you're feeling complaint, or any type of desire to want to enjoy your life more, be ecstatic and excited and electric about life, is just ask the source of your life to first of all show you that your life is a beautiful scenic journey, and the ultimate destination of every experience that you have is for you to love your life. That's the ultimate definition of every experience, even the ones that seem horrible. So every experience that you have is handcrafted, tailor-made, and handpicked, so that you are able to love and enjoy your life to the fullest degree. So just what we can learn from this story of Moses is that we don't want to get into the habit of complaining about what our blessings to us, because it keeps us in a negative cycle. Because what happened is, as I mentioned before in one of my previous videos, is the journey from the wilderness to the promised land was an 11-day journey, and it took them 40 years. 11 days versus 40 years. And the reason why the Judeo-Christian scriptures, or the Bible, says that was so is because they were complaining about what God was blessing them with. So ask for your eyes to be open. Notice the blessings in your life. Ask for the deep appreciation and feeling of thankfulness, and begin to actually celebrate life. Even celebrate those things that appear to be curses, and you'll find yourself moving out of that state of complaint and frustration. So next week I actually want to talk about how the universal spirit of love is actually with us and among us, and we can actually sense that connection to our higher selves on a regular basis. So I'm posting these videos on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Life is Easy, Life is Good. And we also have a YouTube account under Life is Easy, Life is Good. So if you want to watch the rest of these videos, just go there. Thanks for watching this week. Peace.